Hello, Ravens fans. Hit that like button hard if you believe the Baltimore Ravens will make it to the Super Bowl this season. If possible, write this: the Ravens will make it to the Super Bowl. Yes, my friends, Week 5 is coming up hot as the Baltimore Ravens hit the road to take on the Cincinnati Bengals in our first AFC North matchup of the season. What's at stake? Oh, they're high. After completely dominating the Buffalo Bills last week, we have momentum on our side. But it's not just about keeping the winning streak alive. It's about setting the tone for the rest of the season. A win on Sunday would not only put us above .500 for the first time this year, but it could also vault us into a tie for first place in the division. Imagine that. A chance to stay ahead of the pack in one of the toughest divisions in football. Now let's break down what needs to happen for the Ravens to come out on top. First, our running game has been unstoppable. And I mean unstoppable. Lamar Jackson is doing Lamar Jackson things, but we can't ignore Derrick Henry. That guy is a beast, and the offensive line is doing some serious work. We've rushed for over 270 yards in back-to-back games. The Bengals defense, they rank 28th against the run. See where I'm going with this? Keep the pedal to the metal. The Bengals are going to struggle to contain our running game, especially with their struggles defending runs from under center. Then, of course, there's Joe Burrow. We know what he's capable of, but here's the thing. Our defense has been his kryptonite. Mike McDonald laid the blueprint last season, confusing Burrow with disguised coverages, blitzes, and stunts. Zach Orr picked up right where he left off, and after last week's performance against Josh Allen, confusing him into one of his worst games ever, I have full confidence that Orr can throw Burrow off his game again. We've just got to make sure Burrow never gets comfortable back there. Speaking of uncomfortable, Jamar Chase is heating up. He's coming off 2 huge games and has reminded everyone why he's a 3-time Pro Bowler. He's dangerous, especially when he's breaking free for those big yards after the catch. Our guys on defense have to wrap him up. I'm talking solid tackles in open space. If we don't keep Chase contained, we could be in for a long day. Now let's talk about Trey Hendrickson, the Bengals' one-man wrecking crew on the pass rush. The Bengals don't have much pressure outside of him, so if we can keep Hendrickson in check, whether he plays through his injury or not, we should be able to give Lamar time to work his magic. Their pass defense has been shaky, especially against play action, so expect Todd Monken to dial that up early and often. With Andrews and likely getting more involved in the passing game, we could see some huge plays down the field. But hey, let's shift gears for a second because we've got to talk about Kyle Van Noy. This man is having a career year. And I mean that literally. Van Noy was just named AFC Defensive Player of the Month, and it's well-deserved. He's leading the AFC with 6 sacks in 4 games, tying a Ravens franchise record with 3 consecutive games of 2+ sacks. What's been most impressive? The timing of these sacks. Most have come on third downs, shutting down drives, or forcing long field goals. And let's not forget his strip sack on Josh Allen last week. A game-changing moment that swung momentum back in our favor. What makes this all the more amazing is that Van Noy wasn't even on a team at the start of last season. And now he's one of the most impactful defenders in the league. Eric DeCosta's decision to bring him back on a 2-year, $9 million deal looks like a masterstroke, just like the Derrick Henry signing. These two have been absolute game changers for us. Van Noy isn't just racking up sacks either. He's also leading the team in tackles for loss, quarterback hits, and pressures. He's on pace to break his personal best of 9 sacks. And if he keeps this up, he could be our first outside linebacker to hit double-digit sacks since Terrell Suggs back in 2017. You know it's special when the guy himself says he feels underrated and has something to prove every year. With his current trajectory, Van Noy could easily cement his place as one of the top linebackers in the league this season. So Ravens flock, what do you think? Can we keep this momentum rolling against the Bengals? Is Van Noy the key to unlocking our defensive potential this year? Let me know in the comments below. Let's dive into this news that's got fans buzzing lately. So, I was checking out Ian Rappaport's report on the situation with Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams. He's mentioned as potentially heading for a trade, and you know what? It's no big surprise. Adams reportedly has an interest in either playing for the New York Jets, alongside Aaron Rodgers, or heading over to the New Orleans Saints, reuniting with his old QB Derek Carr. It totally makes sense, right? Adams has a lot of love for both Rodgers and Carr, and those teams would be natural landing spots. But here's where things get interesting. Adams is open to other teams too. Rappaport's report really caught my attention when it said Las Vegas will trade him to the highest bidder. So I'm thinking, all right, what's going on here? Apparently Adams hasn't demanded a trade to any specific team, but the Raiders are willing to listen to offers. It gets even better. He's open to going wherever makes sense, not just the Jets or the Saints. So, as I kept reading, I couldn't help but get more intrigued. Adams, according to sources, is cool with going to teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers, Buffalo Bills, Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers, and here's where my ears really perked up, our very own Baltimore Ravens. That's right. The Ravens have reportedly shown some interest, and Adams would actually be happy landing in Baltimore. Now, you all know how Eric DeCosta works. The Ravens GM isn't one to pass up an opportunity to at least see what's up. He's known for keeping tabs on big-name players, even if there's no immediate plan to make a move. You've got to assume DeCosta has at least reached out to the Raiders to gauge what the asking price is for Adams. And honestly, why wouldn't he? We're talking about one of the best wide receivers in the game. The Ravens have done this before, testing the market to see what's possible. And given the state of the Ravens' passing game and their quest to take the next step, Adams could be the missing piece. Remember that video from January where Adams talked about playing for something bigger than stats? He's already racked up the numbers. He's got the career yardage, the touchdowns. But what's missing for him is a Super Bowl ring. He straight up said he'd rather have a chance at the Super Bowl than chase stats. And guess what? He even mentioned Lamar Jackson as a quarterback he'd love to play with. Yeah, you heard me right. Adams has already voiced his interest in playing with someone like Lamar, which makes this rumor even more exciting for us Ravens fans. Now, of course, there's the issue of money. That's always the sticking point, right? If the Ravens were to make a move for Adams, they'd have to figure out how to restructure his contract. That's not an easy task, but with DeCosta, nothing's off the table. The Ravens have been known to make things work when it comes to talent acquisition, and if they think Adams can get them over the hump, don't be surprised if they make a move. Let's be real for a second. Could Adams help take the Ravens to the next level? Absolutely. He's got the skill set, the experience, and the hunger to win. We've seen the Ravens reach the playoffs, only to fall short, often abandoning their run-heavy identity in crunch time. Remember last season? They stuck to their game plan but came up short against the Bengals. Adding a weapon like Adams could give the Ravens' offense that extra firepower it needs, especially in the postseason. So the big question is, could Davante Adams be the game changer that puts the Ravens over the top? The pieces are there. The Ravens have an elite quarterback in Lamar, a solid offensive line, and a strong run game. Before we wrap this up, let's talk about Kyle Van Noy for a second. This guy has been on an absolute tear since joining the Ravens. Remember when he hurt his eye in the Chiefs game? Didn't slow him down one bit. All right, Ravens flock, what do you think? Should the Ravens go all in and try to bring Davante Adams to Baltimore? Or should they stay the course with what they've got? Let me know in the comments. Let's get the conversation going. We'll see you in the next one. Go Ravens!